Hey everybody, it's What's in Our Pantry, and Fletcher ditched me to go play, so it's just going to be me. And I am going to make what I call just pantry soup because I've got a ton of chicken broth in there and canned black beans, and I've got a few just miscellaneous pieces that I'm going to throw all together and make a soup. So far, just to help things speed along, I cut up a green onion, so I've got some pieces here, and the white parts and some of the green parts I threw with some coconut oil in the bottom of this pan just to start kind of getting a little bit of brown and get really fragrant, so it smells amazing in here. So I just did that for about 1 to 2 minutes or so on medium heat to get that going. The next part I'm going to do is I always keep broth in my pantry just to have an easy go-to to make soup. So I'm going to pour that in there. Normally my next step would be to throw in the noodles that I'm using, but just to save time on the video, I've started boiling those. So the nice thing is, if you're not worried about a time limit, then you can just throw everything in together and let it boil or simmer on the stove until it's time the noodles are done. So I'm going to put that, I'm going to turn it up to about medium high just to get that broth going. I've already opened the can of black beans that we're going to use. So these are just organic black beans. I just drained them. I didn't rinse them. Now, if you are a rinser, go right ahead. You could even just throw the whole can in there and not drain them. But I just like draining them first. So I'm going to put that in here. Yum. Then I've got some Rotel. Now, it's not something that I use all the time with cooking, but right now I wasn't able to find any diced or canned tomatoes, anything. The only thing I could find was Rotel. So I got a pack of, I think, 12 from Sam's Club. So I've been throwing this in. Now it does have a little bit of a kick in it, so just keep that in mind. If you're not a spice lover, you could also just replace it with diced or canned tomatoes if you have those around. Like I said, I didn't have any. Now I'm going to throw all that in there with the juice. You don't need to drain it. That's going to add some nice flavor to it. All right. The next part is I'm going to start throwing in some seasonings to give it some more flavor. I love my garlic, so I've got some garlic powder here I'm going to throw in. And actually my noodles are getting pretty done, so I'm going to turn those off. I've just got them boiling right here. They're a gluten-free chickpea pasta. I got it on my Amazon Subscribe and Save. I think I get 6 boxes at a time. I love Amazon Subscribe and Save because you save, I think, 15% if you have more than 4 items, and I don't have to think about it. It just comes on whatever schedule I tell it, every month or every other month, whatever, and I get a box every month with my items, so it's beautiful. I love paprika, so I'm going to put a little bit of that. Maybe a lot of bit of that. But you can just add seasonings to this taste that you like. I'd probably say I put about 2 teaspoons in there, which isn't a ton, but you know, you can adjust as you want. And then my salt, and I put it over here. I've got just some pink Himalayan sea salt I'm going to sprinkle in here. And probably put about a teaspoon or so. You don't want to add too much salt too early because it can get really too salty too fast. So you can always add more. I'm going to give this a nice little stir right here. Ooh, that's already smelling really good with that Rotel tomatoes in there and chilies. So that's going, and I had some baked chicken. So one of my things that I always do is if I'm going to buy chicken, which I do every week, I buy a whole chicken. That way I'm not cooking multiple times. I can cook the whole thing and we debone it, use it for different meals, and I can throw it in just like I am today with the pantry soup. So baked chicken of what I had left over, I'm going to throw that in there. And you can't see it, but over to my left, I've got the bones in my crock pot making bone broth. So, all right, I'm going to put that over there. I saved these green onions to sprinkle on top, just to add nice little extra on there. Now, I'm going to let this get hot, and I'm going to start scooping in my noodles from here. Like I said, I normally would just do this all together, but I don't want to take up a bunch of your time on watching noodles cook, so I'm going to pour those in there. And you can add other seasonings too. You're not limited to these. Just depends on what you have going on. You could even give it a little bit of a Asian flair with some ginger powder in here. You know, any of those star anise if you have any of that. This is going to be really noodly. You can even add more different types of beans. I thought about throwing some pinto beans in here too that I have in my refrigerator left over from another meal. I might do that later. All right, I got all my noodles in here. I'm going to pour a little bit of that broth from it. And I'm going to give it a little taste and see if I need any more spices. I always like to be cautious when adding spices. That way I don't overdo it. That's really good. I'm going to add a little more garlic in here. Oop, I made a mess with that. It sprinkled everywhere. And a little bit more salt. I'm going to give it a good stir. And really, it's already hot. And so I could actually already go ahead and start eating this. But I'm going to give it just a couple more minutes. The longer you have to wait to eat this, the better, because those flavors will really start meshing together and get really delicious. But like I said, it's ready to go. It's hot now, so it can be eaten. The other thing I have is still from Easter. I still have one lone boiled egg left. So I'm just going to cut it in half like this. I'm going to put that on top of my soup. I've got my soup bowl here, and once the video's done, I'll let this keep cooking, but you can see how I'll serve it. I'm going to give myself a really nice big bowl. You can add to whatever meats you have. If you have ground beef or ground pork, you know, whatever you have, especially leftovers, turn it into a new meal just so you're not eating the same things all over and over again. And sprinkle it with this. And hot sauce would be good on this too if you have any. I'm gonna get myself a little spoon here so I can do a taste test. Maybe next time Fletcher will still want to join me. He was here in the beginning and then decided that he wanted to go and play, which I can't blame him. He's 4. Delicious and spicy, just the way I like it. You can subscribe to us on YouTube for more cooking with more what's in my pantry videos. And here comes my son now, so we'll talk to you later.